Hello and welcome to this Gold Pride Punk brief but succinct combo video. So the purpose of this video is going to be to teach you how to play this deck. It's very simple, but also can get really complicated with some of the branching tree decisions that you can make. So to start, let's just open up a little test hand here. So Imperm, not a starter. Xiamen, okay, this hand's already gas. It doesn't matter what the rest of the hand looks like. Ash Blossom, okay, that's pretty good. Golem, okay, going first, you don't necessarily want to see this, but like we're completely fine opening it because we need a discard anyways. And our final card is Carry. Okay, this hand is gas. Okay, so whenever you see a punk in your opening hand or away to a specifically Xiamen, that will always be your first play. So your first play into your main phase, you go standby main, and then you normal summon Xiamen. You'll then activate Xiamen effect, paying 600 life points to then search from your deck and add. So we're going to go ahead and add the Foxy Tune so that we can extend. So from here, we'll use our Foxy Tune, sending himself as cost, and if the effect is good, we discard another card from our hand, and then special from our deck, another Punk card, not level 8. So this will always be Sharkusai if you're able to do it, because Sharkusai lets you get to the Carp, which lets you extend. Speaking of, we'll then use Sharkusai's effect, paying 600 to Fusion Summon, using cards from your hand and field. And that will bring out our Ukiyo-e Punk, or Rising Carp. So from here, you will tribute his cost to special out 2 from the deck, 2 gold prides that are not the same level. Or is it not the same level? Make sure, gotta read the card. Let's see. 2 Punk monsters with different names from each other. So it just can't be 2 Xiamen. It can be the same level, but also not level 8. So what you'll always try and do is Wagon as one of them, and the other one as Deer Note. The reason you do this here is because you want the Wagon's effect for the field spell, and then you want Deer Note so that you can reborn a card after you Synchro Summon, because it lets you go into more plays. So we'll then, after we've resolved the Carp summons, we'll use the effect of Wagon to add the field spell to hand. We'll then activate it, because the next thing we're going to do is Synchro Summon with a level 3 tuner, level 5 non-tuner, into our next searcher, the Punk Jam Dragon Drive. So this is where it gets a little complicated, because there's a bit of chaining going on. And you can choose which card you want to protect, because both of these trigger, so you can choose which order you want to protect. Normally you'll go Jam Dragon Drive 1, paying 600 to search for a level 3 Psychic card from your deck. Deer Note is 2, targeting Sharkusai in most cases, to reborn it. But if you're trying to play around, like you want, say, Deer Note to resolve and you're scared of a Gamma, then you can do this is effect 1 and this is effect 2. Either way, most of the time it'll be Jam Dragon Drive 1, Deer Note 2, targeting Sharkusai. So resolving backwards, bring out Sharkusai, resolve this search, and if you don't have the Madam Spider already in hand, that's where you'll add her here. Go add Madam Spider to hand. And then on resolution, on a new chain, since you paid 600 life points to add a monster, or since you used 600 life points paying cost from a Psychic Monster's effect, you can use the Extreme Sessions. Sessions lets you up to twice per turn when a Psychic Monster activates a card and pays life points for its effect. You get to draw 1. So we'll use that effect and we'll draw 1. Then we'll use the other effect, specialing the Madam Spider out from our hand by banishing a Punk card in the graveyard. I normally like to use the Foxy Tune since it'll be the only light or dark target in your graveyard, so if you're playing into a bestial opponent, you've turned off that avenue for them, though you could choose something else. The one thing you don't want to do, though, is use your level 3 Psychic tuners, or level 3 Psychics period, from your banished or graveyard to banish, because of this card. His effect is that the level 3 Psychic monsters you have with different names in your graveyard, he gets a bounce for each one of those on his summon. So you always want to avoid using those as your banish material. And then from here, we'll use the effect of Madam Spider to search for the trap, paying another 600. And currently we're playing Gabu, though you could play Nashiwari Surprise if you wanted. And then the same story as before, since we paid life points for a Psychic Monsters effect, we'll use Jam Extreme Sessions to draw another card. Offer it to our opponent to cut. And draw one. Okay. Now, unfortunately, since one of our draws was the Start Your Engines, this carry doesn't get as much value as it could have, but that's okay. So we'll special her out because we have less life points than our opponent. At this point, we've paid 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 times for 600 apiece, meaning we're at 5,000 life points. And now that we've special summoned, we can XYZ summon for the Gold Pride Chariot carry, so that we can extend now going into our Gold Pride plays. We will detach one material to Foolish and add a Gold Pride spell, Foolish a Gold Pride card. So I personally like Foolishing the Nitro Head because often we'll find a way to bring him back. And since I play 3 of the Roller Baller, I can almost always get access to him off of Start Your Engines. So from here, I like to activate Better Luck Next Time, searching and then adding the Gold Pride Leon. And then we'll take another 1,500, so we take 4,500 life points of damage this turn, which means if we make a Punisher, it is ginormous. We then use his effect to special, and then his effect on special summon to summon back our target. Now, you can choose Nitro Head, you could choose Carry. I like Nitro Head because I don't like losing to things like Evenly Matched, but if you want to put up a stronger board, you bring out Chariot Carry, and then Chariot Carry and Leon will synchro summon into Star Leon. Wherever he is. There he is, into Star Leon. But if you do it the other way, where you summon Leon, and then Leon on summon you bring out Nitro Head, you do have to wait a turn. But then on your opponent's turn, in their main phase, you can use these two to make either the Amazing Dragon or the Psychic End Punisher, depending on what you think you should make. And the Psychic End Punisher will be very big, because we've already paid 4,500 and then another 6, meaning 5,100. So that puts that Psychic End Punisher at 8,600 attack points if your opponent goes to battle phase. Which is part of the reason I like to do these two. Also, because it makes playing into cards like Lightning Storm or Lightning Storm or Evenly Matched not a problem because they can't activate it because you give them a token. But from here, you just go set. Holding 2 in hand, which these could be anything. This could be an extender or a starter for next turn. This can be any hand trap, which is really nice because you can always draw into them. And then you go to end phase where you resolve Chariot Carry's effect, where it bounces back to the extra deck, specials out the carry, and then you use the continue spell to draw one more card. And we drew another card. So now you've seen the full combo of this board. What are some other hands that we can see? Okay, so next I'd like to discuss what you can do when you're going second into your opponent and they've already established a board and you drew any combination of a level 3 normal summon and then an extender that is a level 3. So I would say the best play we can make, just to force out any sort of interaction our opponent has, especially if we're trying to deal with an Arise Art, would be a play where you do something like normal summon Leon with nothing in graveyard, which kind of sucks, but that's okay. And you just special the tracker, since it doesn't activate, it just does it. And that means it can't really negate it. Then what you'll do is you'll overlay for, this is why I play 2 Chariot Carry, for a Chariot Carry. You then enter the battle phase and attack something that isn't too big. So you've either beaten into it or you've attacked into a defense position monster, and you're chilling, and so you head to main 2 and you do everyone's favorite play, where you will go downward into Zeus, and we'll put this guy in defense because, you know, sometimes that comes up. And then you'll clear his board, and it is kind of important. We'll choose the Gold Pride names. You want to choose those 2 specific, or the Gold Pride names first, and then Punk names, because occasionally you want to summon back from your graveyard. And so dumping a Gold Pride name or a Punk name actually does something for you. Downerd and Tracker don't really. It's also important that Chariot Carry goes in the graveyard, because if you have any way to extend your play in main phase 2, you can make a Dragite. And Dragite needs a water in graveyard, and this is a guaranteed water in graveyard for you. Okay, and so this next combo is when you have one of those really awkward hands where you weren't able to find a Xiamen very quickly. And so what you can do is, if you see something like Better Luck Next Time, you can activate Better Luck Next Time, and go ahead and search out, in this case, since we have Leon in hand, a roller baller. So now we've paid 1800, we're at 62, and we're able to then special summon both of these cards, a roller baller and a Leon, and then turn these two into the Jam Dragon Drive. Jam Dragon Drive will then allow you to search. So we're going to go ahead and search for Xiamen. Wherever he is, there he is. So we add normal Xiamen, go Xiamen effect. Search out your Foxy. Foxy plus the discard we drew, or happen to have in hand. In this case, it was Carry. That lets you bring out Sharkusai. Sharkusai effect. Now it's just normal P.u.n.k cards, right? So from here we actually have some very interesting decision making to make. So we will tribute our Carp, of course, but now we can decide to either bring out 2 level 3s like Wagon and Spider, and then go into the rest of the Gold Pride stuff, but that doesn't really do anything for us here. Or we can just stay standard and go Wagon and Dune. So let's try that out. So we found our Wagon. We have found our Dune. Summon them in defense because we're going first, obviously. Then you Wagon for the field spell. And then you fusion. Or not fusion, sorry, synchro summon. So this is where it gets kind of interesting, because we have to decide what we want from what we have. So currently what we'll do is when we synchro summon, we can bring back our Sharkusai, and that lets us have the bounce on the next turn. So now we need to decide if we want a Draco Berserker or if we want a Dragite. So Dragite is just a spell trap negate, whereas Draco Berserker is banish a monster when it activates its effect. Each is important in its own way. I'd say generically speaking, even in a game 1 stance, I like making Dragite first. So we'll make him. And then we will return from the Dune effect the Sharkusai. Now, if we don't have any other cards to play with, let's say it was just those 2 and a blank, then this is our end board where we have a spell trap negate and then a bounce for 1, 2, 3 on our opponent's turn. And when we do that bounce for 3, we get a draw, which is pretty neat. And given that our hand was kind of iffy to start, that's pretty good. Okay, and for this last test hand I've already drawn for a very specific combination, because this is essentially the best hand that we can see playing Gold Pride P.u.n.k. So imagine we're going first, right? We already have the Roller Baller, and since we're playing the Crowd Goes Wild in this build, we can go effect revealing the Roller Baller to go ahead and search out the Carry. We'll search out Carry, and so we'll not special, but we can special if we wanted to. But we want this in hand for the time being, because that's another good discard fodder if we really need it. But to start, Emergency Teleport, best card in the entire deck. Ridiculous, because it's just a free Xiamen without even normaling. Now that goes to graveyard. Xiamen effect, we know what this thing does. Paying 6 to add another P.u.n.k name, not named itself. Grab our Foxy, and we Foxy Tune. Now, of course, we could discard either of these 2, but both of these provide bodies that we may want to special as an extension. And so, because of that, we're going to still discard our Go Second card that we happen to see in hand. So then we'll go ahead and special out the Sharkusai. Sharkusai effect, he will once again fusion summon into Carp. This card is just so ridiculous. And then we do Carp effect, tributing cost to summon 2 from deck with different names, which is almost always going to be Deer Note Wagon. There are some really weird hands where it won't be Wagon. Into one of these spells, it's in here somewhere. There he is for Extreme Sessions. We'll activate Extreme Sessions, Synchro Summon, and then we make the Jam Dragon Drive. So I like putting Jam Dragon Drive in the extra monster zones, because when it's in the extra monster zones, it locks up one of them, which means our opponent needs to go into the other extra monster zone. And so when I summon the Nitro Head token under the link zone, that lets me pop it whenever I feel like it. So that's pretty neat. We'll go 1, 2 targeting. Grab our Spider. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Cut and draw. special by banishing. And just in case, what we'll do here is we'll special the Captain Carry so we get her add before we do our search and draw, so that we don't add this and we get another good card instead. And we'll activate the Madam Spider effect for a trap, paying 600, which is the best part of the effect. Although having an imperm is also pretty good. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Have our opponent cut and then draw again. So now our hand is so good. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, so we'll then overlay these two for the Captain Carry. Pretty standard procedure there. Then we'll Captain Carry, go ahead and search and dump. So we'll search for the continuous spell this time, and we will in fact dump the Nitro Head wherever he is, because he's somewhere in here. There he is. Activate the Nitro Head, and since we've seen all of the names except Leon, we're going to add Leon. Leon also happens to be a really cool extender for getting us into the specific card we wanted to make here, since we saw such a good hand. So with that on board, all of these cards in hand, and we've yet to normal summon. So this is where you can really decide if you want to go super ballsy, or if you want to be more realistic. Because you could say normal the Ash Blossom, and then special the Baller. Which I might just do because it's very, very funny. Yeah, so we'll do it. So we'll special normal the Ash, special the Roller Baller because we are lower, and then we'll go ahead and make Dragite. And then we can go ahead and special summon Leon, and we're going to target the either Nitro Head or Roller Baller, depends on what you think is most valuable, but I always like to go Nitro Head because he gets us into a Synchro 11. And then we set 4. We go ahead and resolve the Chariot Carry. And once I can get this out of the way, we summon back the Captain Carry, and we draw 1, our draw tracker. So what this end board does to our opponent is it gives them a token under their link zone in their during the standby that we can then pop during their main phase. It gives us a quick bounce using any 2 cards on my board into a punk, but we'll almost always use those 2. And so this will be our first point of interaction, bouncing, you know, however many you need to, because you've gone through the whole line. You have 5 bounces you can do. That also turns into a draw 1. And then you can use, that was actually kind of a rough draw, but it's okay. And then we can always have the negate and destroy of a spell. And then we have Leon to either quick synchro into Star Leon to have a pop on their turn, or if Star Kusai was negated, we can use Leon and Nitro Head to make him the Amazing Dragon, or go into Punisher. And then from here, if they summon again, because they're a bozo, we use the Start Your Engines. We'll reveal 3 Prides in deck. Hopefully I still have 3 Prides in deck at this point. I might not. Cool. We have exactly 3 in deck. Perfect. And so we reveal one of these 3 randomly gets summoned, and so either it's Baller, and we can already make Baller, or it's Leon, and we summon back Baller, and we can still make it. And if we somehow still aren't done, if they still go, we have the Dangerous Gabu and an Imperm, and that will absolutely end their turn.